Hey there, lovely Ascension pioneers. Guess what? This girl is back from her camping retreat this weekend, and I'm back full time doing my usual stuff. And today I wanted to talk to all of you about the upcoming energetic changes and some of the things that have been, the questions that people have asked me, especially one particular question, which is a subject that I would like to delve deeper into. Our perception of things, of dark and light, things like that. I think it's very important, so that's why I decided to discuss this over the video. I will also do a few sessions of questions and answers on my webpage through writing, through automatic writing, but this time I'm guided to answer this via video. So before I start talking about that and answering that question within the topic, I would like to say that we are within such intense energies right now because the energies are building towards the eclipse on Sunday. And, I would like to say a few words about how to feel these energetic shifts. It's not that, you know them because, Polona talks about them and she says, I say there's a shift going on, we feel this intuitively, blah, blah, blah. I would like you to learn, to observe and feel these shifts on your own. So what is the basic guideline within this? It's like the whole planet is shifting, right? So these new energies intensively and increasingly and continuously activate on the planet. So you are a part of this planetary consciousness. You are an organic part of the organic Earth as this planet that we are being hosted on. So when the whole planet is anchoring these new energies, you are also anchoring them. It depends as how you feel them, regarding as to how open you are, as a channel. But, when you see these energetic changes happening in nature and all around you, when you start becoming this conscious observer that you are, in fact, you start feeling these energetic changes. You see them in nature. You see how nature works. For instance, when there's a new energetic shift here where I live, this is always noticeable in temperature change. We have this, I call the mini ice ages, it gets very hot. It was like 30 degrees Celsius this Friday. I was wearing a summer dress, then I went camping. And on Saturday evening, it started raining, pouring rain, and there was thunder and lightning and so much. And then the next day, it was already 9 degrees Celsius. And it was so cold, and it snowed again in the mountains. So these mini ice ages and these warmer areas in between, they like signalize these shifts. So when you see these changes in nature, and here they're often accompanied by a strong wind. There's such intense winds blowing that you can just feel the shift happening. Wherever you live in a certain part of this globe, this beautiful planet, for instance, you might notice changes in your own way. How Gaia is showing things. Well, she's unwrapping her new garment in her own unique way there in your region of the world. But you will notice that. And it's the same way you will see these changes. Will you become more and more one with nature and all life and feel Mother Earth beneath you and all around you and giving you source of light right now here in this planet? You will feel more deeply connected and you will feel those changes. And at the same time, she is going through these changes and she's actually celebrating. You are going through these changes on your own. I've described some of the symptoms on my Facebook page yesterday, and you might feel, like this loss of, attention. You don't know what to do. You kind of feel disoriented, non-grounded. You feel like kind of empty, hollow, void. This is how I feel sometimes for a day during these shifts. When the energy changes, I feel void for one day. I think I'm going to work a lot, but then I just can't, you just can't grab on to a certain particular thing. You just move from one thing to another and you're like this wanderer. But this is good. Whatever you do, when you do your best, you're in this right path that you're on because you are your path. And during the shifts, that doesn't just change. So you might also feel some physical symptoms like these cleansing, of the areas that you might still have energy work needed to be done on. And you might feel nausea, you might feel kind of dizzy or might feel pain in certain areas, things like that. What can also happen is, let me just, okay. What can also happen is you feel different. You can't explain, but you feel like there's this new cycle beginning for you. You might get new ideas and inspirations, things like that. So when you just feel something intuitively, that there's this new sense of how you perceive your reality, you might know that there's a shift. And apparently this week with also are accompanied by solar flares. So there's probably a very intense week ahead of us, already beginning. And what is the thing about the new coming up eclipse on Sunday is all these eclipses are actually preparing us for the solstice. And, you know, every solstice prepares us for another solstice. And it's like a continuation process. It's not a single linear event or a thing, you know. But this particular eclipse, it's like paving the way for what is happening next, you know, for the next few months in our lives. And while we are going to be within those energies, again, there's going to be an energy shift. And I've noticed lately that they happen during the weekends. They happen during the weekends, and Monday there's this void, and then there's the continuation during the week, and new ideas coming, you know, and this is how we continuously shift. And the more that we shift, the faster these shifts are becoming and seem to us. This is called the quickening. So right now we might be perceiving them as weekly shifts. Before maybe there were monthly shifts. Now they're weekly shifts. They're going to be daily shifts. They already are, but how our consciousness perceives them, you know, this is what I'm talking about. Because the more attuned that we become to universal energies, the more we feel that, and the more we vibrate at a faster rate, faster speed, the quickening. So this eclipse is paving the way for this. And while we are within those energies, we are anchoring these new light codes. Again, it's activation on all the levels of our being, from all the levels of light. And we are activating whatever we need at that time. You know, each is being activated in their own unique way. So while this is being done, you know, we're not just activated like, again, this is like a linear event and then it stops. It's a continuation process. So maybe for a few weeks, we're going to feel differently and new things are going to come up to our awareness. So this is what these eclipses are about. And like I said, they're preparing us for the solstice. And then that solstice will prepare us for the new alignments. And the thing is, when we learn to observe these shifts, we more easily flow with the divine universal flow of life, the current of life. Because when we don't, we try to control things and we try to act when it's not divinely to act yet. It's more done through the logic or fear. You know, I need to act or I won't get abundance. I need to act or this will slip away. You know, I won't get this chance again. But in truth, in divine universal guidance, we always flow with the divine and we always get all the opportunities. You know, abundance, not just money. Abundance is all the opportunities, free time, people, relationships, events, all that you need for your further spiritual growth and mission. So, you know, divine guidance always works like this. So when you're in this conscious observer state, you always want to flow with the divine current of life. So, for instance, when these astrological alignments that people talk about and also these cosmic alignments, you flow with them. You know that there's not just something that's happening on the outer, but this is also your inner process. So the more that you align with these universal energies, the more you're in flow with those processes. And you flow through life with ease. And this is called the path of least resistance, because most people on the planet still believe that they need to put all those efforts, need to make so much to make all the money that they need to support themselves. You know, this is basic 3D lifestyle as to how it was presented to people here on earth. That's how they think, you know, because they were told this way, so they believe it. That's how they think they need to live their lives. But when we remember our divinity, our divine source, our divine heritage, we start flowing with life. We act only when it's divinely to act, when we rest, when we feel it's time to rest, and we gather new information and light codes when it's time to gather. This is called the complete connection to your source self. When you're sourcing, when you're not acting out of impulsive state, you're acting through your divine guidance. So that's why it's important for you to recognize these shifts as to what is happening in the outer external reality and it's what's happening within. Because every shift, it's not something external. It's also internal. It's both ways. It's interconnected. I've also been asked a lot about divine guidance, you know, the signs that people are receiving. And I was writing about this today on my Facebook page as well, because divine guidance is as natural to us as breathing. It's the same for every one of us. No one is more guided than the other. But the main difference between us is that some might experience this more because they're more aware of it. They're more conscious of it. You know, so they listen more, they tune in more. They learn how to tune in to that guidance. They learn how to observe. And when people ask me, about their own signs, because some people think that they're going, a bit weird, that they're going insane, because they literally awake to that degree that they just start noticing these signs more. It's not that these signs become increasingly, dominant in their life, that they start, prevailing so much, but it's that they notice them more because they open themselves more to that observation. So the more that you observe through an open heart center, non-judgment, non-attachment, non-associating with anything, the more these signs will flow through you through synchronicity, divine logic, which is not the same as human logic. So these signs will be different for each and every soul on its unique path. Some will see signs in that kind of way, and some will be more in the other kind of way. So all is the same, because all our messages to you, and through those messages of spirit, we're receiving beautiful messages. They're helping to guide us on our path, how to stay more within the, like I say, the path of least resistance, not through hardship, because the hardship is the way of 3D, as to how we were taught. You need to do this in order to survive and thrive. You need to constantly do and be a human doing. It's not that way at all. When you shift in your awareness, but you need to shift first. This is always the main component. So learn to observe these signs, learn to tune in, observe the signs of the shifts, learn to observe your inner internal, red flags, messages that your inner guidance is sending you. Sometimes also your body, if a certain part of your body needs more attention, pay attention, listen to it. It has its own divine logic. Every cell of your body is intelligent, because every cell of your body is connected to the source of all life. Nothing is separate. Okay, now we've spoken about this, and because this is all connected to the question that I received, that's why I wanted to put it in the same video, because the more that we're shifting, the more that we feel all is neutral. Someone wrote on my status update today that these changes are becoming more, at the same time, more beautiful, but very hard. And I said that this hard, like these hardship is only perceived through our mind. It's only showing the resistance of us embracing the new in all completeness and totality, because some people still are afraid of these changes. Many people, especially those who are still a lot anchored in the old system, in the 3D paradigm. So this is just showing you, whenever you still perceive something as hard and difficult, it's showing your resistance to the new, to the change. Because when we hold on to the old, we see only, like the horse with it, those things that they put in front of their eyes and they can see. But once you start, increasing the angle of your vision, you'll see new things and new opportunities, and you'll say, oh my God, it's not difficult at all. It's just how I perceived it in this zone. Now I see differently. Now I see clearly. But you got to take the step, because now how energies are working, it's you got to take the step first, then you will receive all the guidance and support. No more waiting time for someone to nurture you, to baby you. It's not like that, because you're becoming an empowered conscious being, a co-creator within the light. So, okay, this question for me is important that I received, because a lot of people still label things, this is still duality. Okay, I'll read the question out loud and then I'll explain what I feel about this. I've been struggling with fully accepting what I feel my mission is, as it's a darker mission. I want to help clear bad karma, for lack of a better term, by being a medical examiner and helping the police solve questionable deaths. I guess what concerns me is that this isn't in line with the light. Perhaps I'm just too caught up in the terminology, but for some reason when I watch or read about the light, the term just doesn't resonate. Is this not good? Is it normal? I know, ridiculous questions, but I somehow feel a bit displaced in a light revolution of sorts. I'm not sure why, and it is causing a discomfort. I cannot seem to figure out why I feel this way. Even trying to go within seems to be difficult for this issue. It's as if I have some type of a hang-up. Any advice? Or could you talk about these terms, light and dark, in one of your videos? What they're used, and what is meant when referring to them. What does it mean if someone has a darker calling, and is it still ascension? Okay, I feel this is so much connected to the manipulation of the terms light and dark within the New Age movement, and I've been speaking about this through the entire time of making my videos, because the New Age movement is causing a lot of this duality, a lot of this fake love and light movement and things as such. The thing is, it's very simple. You know, I gave a partial answer, and I said that only our inner belief in this duality can cause such questions to arise, because our inner labeling comes from these imposed beliefs that we've been oftentimes told. So in truth of one, all is neutral and all is serving a purpose. So there's no darker or lighter or things like that. It's how we perceive it, or it's how we've been told. And because we're taught this, we're so, this is like engraved within us. It's like we don't know anything else but to label things. And then the new age comes and speaks in all these terms of light and dark, and we become even more self-imposed in this and more self-sabotaging. Okay? So as for the human perception, things are always as we tend to perceive them. No matter how the truth of one is, that there is no such terminology and no duality, we perceive things as such. So if we still have this belief in darkness, or we label something we do, or we think that we're doing is dark, or this will come back to haunt us, because we have this belief that needs to be researched. We need to get to the root of this belief. We need to get to the root on our own, because this is something no one else can tell us. No one can tell you why you have this limited belief, or why you have this thought that, always becomes, it always starts with a thought. And it starts amplifying and amplifying, and it starts increasing. And it's just energetic thought pattern that might become this big thing. And you just can't see your way past it, because you created something so big, because a mind is a powerful tool. You can co-create with it. And when you go into that direction, you will create something so heavy and dense that then later on, it will be harder for you to go through it, to move through it. So what you need to do when you have this big lump, you go back to the root when the lump was still smaller, and see how it began. So no one else can tell you about this belief, because you have to go within and research this yourself within your own inner guidance. Even if you think that it's not possible right now at this time to connect, it's always possible to connect, because this is your divine antenna. It's how you're created. As I said, this is as natural to us as breathing. It's just that some people have forgotten about this, how natural this is, because they've been told so many things by the new age. They believe it's difficult and that just the privileged ones can connect. It's not true, and it's not something complicated, and you don't need any method. You just need to give pure heart intent to connect your inner realms, and your guidance will show you the way, no matter how, even if you can't at a certain time and you feel you're isolated to get the answer, you will get it at your own time and space. But you need to allow yourself to feel this space. Give yourself a few days, a few moments, whatever feels right. Just give yourself the time. Even though there is no time, you have to, in this human perception, you have to give yourself the time and nurture. So anyone else can only give you the general answer about this, what this means, but you have to go within. And of course, everything is a challenge. This is a challenge as well. And it might seem challenging to you to connect at this time and get this answer, but everything that seems to be this challenge is for a greater spiritual growth and development. So what I can say is that there have been many terminologies as such, but you have to know everything is neutral. For instance, I gave this good example once, that not everyone who is dealing with spiritual things, there are people who give spiritual workshops, they do shamanic stuff, they play, I don't know, these spiritual instruments, and not everyone who does things that are spiritual is on their spiritual mission, on their spiritual path. What spiritual path means for me personally on the deepest level is, it means that you're in the path of your soul. And what these people do, it doesn't necessarily come from their heart. It might come a lot from their mind. So to be on your spiritual path, it does not matter what you do. It can be, perceived as a trivial 3D thing like gardening. You would say, oh, this is not a spiritual task. It's not of the light. This is how we were manipulated into people to believe that something is spiritual and something else is not. Every single thing is spiritual, and to be on a spiritual path of the light means to do it through your awareness. And I've been speaking about this in my previous video when I gave the example with the pianist. You have two pianist players. Some will play it through awareness, and some won't be aware of what they're doing through their light, through their music, what they're sending out as vibrations of love. So everything comes with awareness. Everything flows with awareness. The answer is in awareness. Whatever you do, and you cannot clear bad karma. Karma has been so misperceived, so misinterpreted in this world, in this planet. There's been so much manipulation around karma. There's no such thing as there's karma and I need to heal it. You can only work on your own inner resolutions, your own self-healing, which is soul healing, to go deep within, to see all that is still blocking you, to prevent you from perceiving yourself as divine love. So every mission that is spiritual is when you do something within the field of divine love that you are. No matter what you're doing, is it gardening, is it building houses? And you might say, oh, this is not spiritual. Or examining, I don't know, people's bodies after they die. Doesn't matter when you do it with awareness, when you remember why you're doing it. There might be many examples. Maybe you remember that you don't feel guided to do this anymore. But when you perceive something as so difficult, so hard, you need to go to the root. You need to see why this is causing this within you, why there's disbelief, where's this duality uprising, why? Because in truth, we right now are moving from separation into unity, and this labeling is pure separation. You are self-sabotaging yourself. Why? Where's this coming from? When you say I can't connect, of course you can. So first, remember that you can always connect. Give yourself the patience and the time for the answers to come and rise. Ask all the divine guidance to show you all the way, because you can. Everyone can. There's no differences between us. It's just like I said, some are more open to feel it, some are not. So if you need more time, you need more time. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as better or worse. And then follow this guidance and remember to go to the root. Go to the root through this guidance and you will see. You will get the answer. Because I talk to many people and there's so many, I've just gave them a general answer and they start answering themselves. Yeah, this is probably because, this is that and I've done this. Oh, they start remembering. This is what I'm guiding people about, because it's about remembrance. And when you remember, you clear the way, you move through the lump, and you start seeing things in a more beautiful, neutral way. There is no such thing as the darker, lighter mission. Every soul is divine. It's just a role playing. Remember, it's like a theater play, and we're a different role playing. Of course, within that, we are different levels of awareness. That's why in a certain play, the best actors will get a more complex role. This is, the same thing as you observe a theatrical roles within a play. It's the same thing. The more that you are aware, the more light that you remember yourself, yourself as a soul, the more complex part, the more responsibility you will get within your mission, your play, whatever. And if you can't remember that much as yet, you will get a less responsible mission, less responsible play, but the same beauty within it. Like I say, there's no one without the other. There's no part of the equation without the other. It doesn't work that way. It only works through wholeness. And Source builds creation through wholeness, completion through perfection. So if you say, this job is not divine, you are actually saying that things that are within the source of all living things are not all divine. How can this be? Like people who say that there's this devil entity, that it's something that is separated from the source. How can you say that if the source is all that is? If the source created everything, even the concept of the devil, in order for us through the darkness to remember our light. And when you remember your light, you remember your mission is only to be that light embodied, to shine, whatever you do. So no labeling needed. Whatever you do is good. And when it doesn't, no longer resonate, then it's not for you to do it anymore. But there's a difference if something does not resonate, or if you have a difficulty and patterning about something. There's a difference between moving on and the resistance within you that doesn't want to deal with something. That's why you have to go to the root. I can't solve this for anyone personally. You can solve it because you're the master of your own destiny. Yes. Destiny. Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I'm sorry for the length of the video again, so long, because I wanted to do so many things in one video. I want to stress many things that people ask me. Sometimes I can't do it all, but I'll make it up more in my writing. So expect a few of the question and answers being answered through these sessions on my webpage. So do log in, do subscribe, and have a wonderful week, everyone. Let's build up towards the solstice, eclipse. Oh yeah, solstice. Soon, I guess, because of the quickening, everything is happening so fast. Take care. Much love, everyone. Bye.